Black people have got to stop hanging out with groups of white people.
If you're the only Black person in your friend group, you should probably not be in their friend group.
We're not teaching our Black kids that they should never be the only Black person in a group of white people. It is 2026.
In quotation, never be the only Black friend. Why does this conversation keep coming back up? Every few years, a tragedy happens and the same conversations resurface online. This year, the internet is saying never be the only Black friend, never be the only Black person on a outing, never be the only one. This conversation recently resurfaced online after the passing of Nolan Wells. He was on a boat outing with a group of friends and apparently he was the only Black person there, and later he was found deceased and nobody has any answers. No one has any answers for his parents. No one has any answers for authorities. 2 years ago, a woman by the name of Tamla, I believe Horsford, was at a sleepover with a group of her white counterparts. It was 13 white women. They seemed to be having a great night. The next day, she was found deceased outside and apparently she fell off a balcony. And again, the same outcome, the same verdict. No one was charged. No one knows what happened to her. Everybody was sleeping. There was ghosts in the house. Nobody knows what happened to these people. And every time this happens, the internet is asking the same questions. Whether or not you believe there is similarity in these cases, that's not really the point. What matters is that so many people instantly was able to make that connection. That tells you something deeper. That tells you that this is a generational fear. Not a fear of white people, but the fear of being the only one. The only person in the room who doesn't have somebody that naturally, instinctively share their perspective. History has taught us when you're the only Black person in a room or in an environment, you are at a much higher risk. Not saying that interracial relationships or friendships are unsafe or unhealthy. You can't be friends with somebody from the outside race. That would be foolish to say. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying when you're the only one in certain spaces, you have a higher risk. And I'm not saying this because I believe every tragedy is racially motivated. I'm stating this because people often wonder, the person that's on the outside, is their voice going to carry the same weight? If it's 10 white people in a room and one Black person is giving a completely different statement, a different sentence, a different truth to what's going on when everything goes wrong, who do you think people are going to believe? I believe psychology calls this term in-group bias. People naturally tend to trust, defend, and identify with people that look like them, sound like them, and act like them. And I'm not saying you cannot have a genuine relationship with somebody from an outside race, because I have really good friends that are not Black. I have really great family members that are not Black. I have people outside of my family that identify with other groups, with other religions, and we still get along and we have a genuine connection. But I'm just saying, unconsciously, people tend to gravitate and agree and defend people that look like them and that sound like them. And we do this in all groups: fraternities, school, families, churches, fraternities, friend groups. That's why when something goes wrong, people have to think to themselves, what happens if this does not go right? Who is going to defend me? Who is going to speak up for me? Who is going to question things when things do not make sense? More than likely, it's going to be the person that look like you. That's why it's always important for you to have somebody that look like you within the group. And like I said, because I know there's going to be somebody that comment on this video, oh, you're pushing this racist property. This conversation has nothing to do with race. This conversation has everything to do with history and things that have happened repeatedly and we have to take heed to. That's all this conversation is about. And I am deeply sad that the mother has to go through this. I don't even have a child, but I cried as if I knew this boy. I cried as if this was one of my brothers. I cried if this was a family member of mine, because it's sad that we live in a world where we cannot feel protected and we are being targeted just by the color of our skin, just by simply existing. I was Black. Just because I was born Black, I have to watch my back and I have to strategically pick my friends because situations like this. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up some videos about the conversations and the discourse online around Nolan's death. Like I said, many people have passed in similar situations like this where they were the only Black person and their fate was the same. And my thing is, if a Black person unalives another Black person, there would be accountability. But it seems like in these situations, there's always no accountability. There's zero accountability. I would rather be around people that look like me and that's going to be held accountable than to be in a circle with people that do not look like me, people that do not identify with me, people that are not going to have my back when things go left and no one is held accountable. That's the biggest difference. Are you going to have somebody to have your back? That's why people say it's not good to be the only one, because like I said, subconsciously, people tend to defend, fight, and protect people that look like them.
The way this country talks about black victims versus white victims is disgusting. Nolan Wells' body was found yesterday off the coast of Mississippi. If you didn't know, he was presumed missing and dead on July 4th. It is America's 250th birthday, and we're still dealing with this bullshit. He was celebrating with his friends for the 4th of July, and there's now circulating video that is going very viral of what looks to be him and his friends that he went with on the beach, and there's an argument. There's yelling happening. In the video, he looks to be very calmly standing still looking at his buddies. And somehow, the conversation is about his behavior. Why wasn't he on the boat? Was he drinking? Was he going from one boat to another? Now, I'm going to give you a scenario. It's kind of morbid, so stick with me and trigger warning. If I show up dead, washed on a beach, my community of people where I was born are not going to go, well, how was Jake acting? Did he stay where he was supposed to? Did he start an argument with people? No, it's going to go, what the fuck? We have someone that would kill people out here? Jake, I love that guy. He plays for the football team. I'm just putting myself in Nolan's shoes. Nolan plays for the team. He's friends with those people. And the conversation is about his behavior. Just so frustrating. Like, racism is still alive and well just in the dialogue. Just in the dialogue. As simple as that. I just want this country to do better. And I see a future where we just stop with this bullshit and start going like, man, this kid was killed. Like, his on the 4th of July, he is celebrating with everyone. And he can't even do that. We can do better. We gotta do better. Oh, and apparently one of the friends' moms is a local judge. And if you think that will work in Nolan's favor, you clearly don't know anything about the history of young black men in this country. This isn't going to go anywhere.
I love how at the end he was very optimistic and hopeful that justice would be served to Nolan and his family, and I do wish the same. But what a lot of people do not realize, as a black person, we do not live in the world as it should be. We live in the world as it is, and that is just the reality of it. That's why these conversations are very important. I wish we didn't have to tell our black kids that there's a difference between you and little Johnny. I wish I didn't have to have a conversation with my future son and tell him, hey, you have to be strategic about the friends that you have. But that is not the reality. We live in a world where these things have to be put in place to protect us. Because like they said, it was a dispute, and now all of a sudden he's not here and not one person is standing up for him. These people probably did birthdays together, parties together. It looked like he was in football. These probably did dinners together. These probably were really close friends of his on paper. But when something goes wrong, all the people that look like each other, they stick up for each other. And that's the most important part of this conversation. And even how things are being handled. When a person of color passes away, they want to use the mugshot photo. If Nolan had a mugshot photo, I'm sure that's the photo that the news would be using to push a certain narrative, but they can't do that. So they start talking about, well, what was the dispute about? Or what happened? Or what was he wearing? Or any past thing that he did that was seen as terrible or justified anybody's passing. Those are the things that they want to harper on and talk about rather than talking about getting justice for him. That's merit a small bit of a difference of how things are handled when one of us passed versus when a white person or a non-black person passes. There's a huge difference, and that's why these conversations are very important and they have to be had.
The Nolan Wells situation is why my children will never be the only black person in the group. Never. Parents, we got to start understanding. You know the history, especially a black boy. Your kids should never be the only black person in the group. Now, I pray they find Nolan Wells alive and well, because this is just sad. There's too many situations like this. And I repeat, never. You never be the only black person in the group, and never let your kids be the only black person in the group. I pray they find this kid.
My mama always told me, if you the only birthday candle at the birthday party, 9 times out of 10, you ain't there for the party and you there as the present. My mama always told me, if you the only birthday candle at the birthday party, you not there for the birthday party, you there to be the present. Nolan Wells and this whole entire thing down there in Mississippi look fishy. One of the boys' mama is a judge down there. Don't nobody know what happened. Now all of a sudden, a body's been found to presume to be his. His mama, Nolan Wells, is online saying she want answers, which means she crying out to the world because she don't believe nothing Mississippi say, which she shouldn't. I want to hear what's going on.
She attended a sleepover with 13 of her white friends and then was found dead the next morning, but no one was ever charged. In 2018, 40-year-old Tamla Horsford attended an adult sleepover at a friend's home in Cumming, Georgia. She was the only black woman among 13 white attendees. The next morning, she was found face down and unresponsive in the backyard. Authorities immediately ruled her death an accident, saying she fell from a one-story balcony, citing intoxication. However, the autopsy documented extensive injuries, including multiple blunt force trauma that many questioned as unusually severe for such a fall. There was conflicting witness statements, limited crime scene investigation, and the case was almost immediately closed, sparking public outrage. But despite reinvestigations, no charges were ever filed, and to this day, Tamla's family is seeking answers and justice. Rest in peace to this poor woman. Spread the news so that her and her family get the justice they deserve.
We're not teaching our black kids that they should never be the only black person in a group of white people. It is 2026. Are we not teaching our kids that if they are the only black person in a group of white people, their life is in danger? Are we not teaching our kids that they don't have a friend in white people?
Like you said, when it does not make sense, they get their stories together. Because on 4th of July, nobody seen him. Not a single person seen him. And I'm not here to make conspiracies about what could have or what happened to him. All I know is it does not make sense, and I had to learn this at a very young age. I remember when I was 14 years old, I had a really good white friend. We're still friends, and she lived a block from me. I would spend a lot of time at her house. I would come over probably about 4 times a week after school, and we would talk, we would chat, we would do each other's hair. We were great friends. And I remember one day my brother came over to her house, knocked on her front door. Her dad opened the door, and my brother told her dad, "Hey, is Asia here? Because my mom needs her to come home for dinner." I came home. The following day, I went to school. My white friend showed me a picture of my brother. She took a picture of my brother, which looks like the picture of my brother standing at her front door that her dad took as he was walking away. But he was at her door. It was like their Ring camera. And she was like, "Is this your brother? Do you know who this is?" And I said, "Yeah, that's my brother." And she was like, "You can't have him come to our house anymore." And I said, "What do you mean?" "He came to pick me up." And she looked me in my eye and she told me her dad does not like black people. And I said, "If your dad doesn't like black people, why am I allowed over? I'm over almost every day after school." And she's like, "Oh no, I meant he didn't like black boys. He likes he doesn't like black men. He doesn't like black boys or men." And that's when I realized that I was just being tolerated. He was okay with me coming over because he didn't see me as a threat. And I learned this at 14 years old. I've never been the only black person in any of my friend circles. I have a very diverse circle, but even in spaces where I am the only minority, I have to watch my back because you just don't know if something terrible happens, if somebody's going to have your back, friends or no friends. And it's sad that we have to think like this and we have to be pessimistic to protect ourselves. But this is just the reality of the case, because how nobody in his friend group, how nobody on this small little island, no one seen what happened to him. Not a single person seen what happened to him. Y'all couldn't even conjure up a story to say that he drowned. Y'all couldn't even come up with a story. Y'all just said nothing. Like, y'all said y'all don't know what happened to him. He went for a swim. You didn't know what happened to him. Like, this is ludicrous. And my heart really hurts for the mother and the family. Like, not have any closure, to not have any answers. This is sad.
Public service announcement. If you're the only black person in your friend group, you should probably not be in that friend group. I see it happens time and time again. And this is from somebody. I am from Mississippi. Born, raised here. I grew up with so many white friends, and I've stayed a night with some of my best friends in middle school, high school, that were white. had white friends spend the night with me at my house, quite literally. I don't know if you think that it's a badge of honor. It's not. It's not. Why would you want to be the... I'm sick of this. Like, it never fails. It always happened. Did y'all...
I'm not buying the "we thought he caught another ride" BS. I'm not doing it. He came with y'all, he should have left with y'all. Y'all also had his phone too, so make that make sense. Of course, here comes people saying, oh, it's not about race. No, but it is. Why is it the fact that the one black teen that went out with a whole bunch of white boys is the only one to show up deceased? Y'all not gonna like this one, but being the only black person in a group full of white people or whatever the race is not always the smartest or safest choice. For these white friends of his to say that they don't know what happened to him and they can't remember is a little off-putting. They were not looking out for their so-called friend, and it shows. Hence why I'm not believing anything that they're saying. I'm not buying anything that they're selling. Nolan deserved to be home safe and sound, just like his so-called friends got to be able to be home safe and sound.
Like, if I'm the only black person here, I really don't feel comfortable. I'm gonna leave. And there's a reason for that. It's like, as a black person, like, I've experienced this a lot where, like, I could be, if I'm the only black person in here, there's usually a white person that's gonna come up and start saying some dumb shit. And if I respond back to them, the other white people in here will try to work together to keep me in check. I'll give you an example, right? I went to this PWI, I'm in class, I'm minding my business, I'm on a computer doing my work. White dude to my right says something racist to me, like, this motherfucker's like, oh, why is it that you black people don't know y'all dad? I was just like, what the fuck, like, it's 9 in the morning, what the hell is your problem? So I ignore him, right? And then it just kept happening. Like, I had another white dude throw something at me. It just kept happening. And I got called the N-word by another one. He was just like, straight like, so I got pissed off and I called him a bunch of fucking peons. And all the white people were like, oh, how could you? I'm offended. And now they all started working together to try to make me look stupid.
Another thing I want to point out, because I don't want somebody to watch this video and leave with the sentiment that black people should not be friends with white people because it's dangerous or inherently dangerous. I do not want that to be the takeaway. The takeaway should be the fact that a lot of times when you are the only black person in a situation, because they cannot connect to you naturally on every level, y'all have two different perspectives just because you grew up looking a different way. It is that deep. I want people to take away from this video is character. Are they speaking up for you when things go wrong? Because I feel like Nolan, he was young. He was only 18 years old. But even the other lady that I mentioned earlier was 40 something years old. There may be signs. Do they speak up when things go wrong? Are they accountable? You get what I'm saying? Like, should be questions that you should ask yourself in all friend groups. Like, they demand answers for you. Do they check for you? That's the question that you should ask. If something goes wrong, if there's a fight or something breaks out, do they have your back when things are semi-wrong before they ever get to that level of them having to cover up your passing? Do they have your back in that way? To be intentional about the people that you trust. Character, morals, virtue, all of that stuff matters. People think, oh, it don't matter. Oh, I have my friends. I hear a lot of people say, oh, I have my going out friends. I have my friends. I have my gossip friends. I have my volleyball. I have my friends. I don't have friends for different groups. I don't put my friends in compartments because I should be able to have a everything friend in every friend. And the reason why I feel like that, because you could be with your turn up friend, going out friend, something can happen, something can escalate. And because she's not the protective friend, I can't say, oh, I wouldn't expect for her to get me help or defend me in a fight, or if something was to go left, is she going to be by my side? I would never want to have to wonder about that. Or if I have my church friend, I should not think, oh, if something was to go wrong, we encounter something with the cops, oh, do I have to worry about her leaving me or not having my back or not calling for help? I shouldn't have to worry about that because I have a everything friend. Integrity, character, all of that matters. And that's what the overall message is, to be intentional about the friends that you have. And if you are in a friend group, because I know a lot of people are on this video saying if you just have white friends and you're the only person in a white circle, just cut them all off. And I don't think that is the case, because I do believe you can have genuine friendships with people. But again, like I told you my personal story with my white friend, a lot of my white friends have admitted and told me that they're not racist, but their family is racist. So why would I put myself in certain situations? Why would I ever go to a cookout or a family event and I'm the only black person there? Am I friend has already told me how her family is. There will be signs. There is always signs before destruction. But a lot of times we just, oh, that's not really a big deal. Oh, it was just a everything is not a misunderstanding. At that point of a misunderstanding, you should have an understanding to know, okay, I have to distance myself from these people, because when things go wrong, they're not being right. They're not defending me. They're not standing up for me. They're not protecting me. They are quiet. They feel like they have to choose a side. And that shouldn't how it should be. Like, you should be an accountable person. It doesn't matter the color of the person's skin. You should stick up for what's right, because that's what type of friend I am. Like, something goes wrong, I will tell my friend. In private, I'm going to tell them, you were wrong. In public, I will defend you, but in private, I am going to correct you. That's what a friend would do. I do want to watch another video, because I do like the point that he made in this video, and things that parents should start having these conversations. If you have kids and they are in predominantly white areas and they do have predominantly white friends, these are important conversations that you need to have, and you shouldn't have it in a way that it's negative. You should just have it in a way that's real, because it may sound negative. I know people are going to comment on this video and say, oh, that's racist, or I don't like the narrative that you're, and it's no narrative. This is just the reality of the world that we live in. So we have to protect ourselves by giving knowledge to our children, to our kin ones. And if you've experienced something like this, please send them this video, because we have to protect ourselves, because no one else will.
Being the token black person in the friend group would cost you your life. For example, Nolan Wells, who went on a boating trip with his friends, the only black guy in the group, on July the 4th in Mississippi, and he came up missing. And we see the same thing that took place in 2018 when you're talking about Tamla Horsford. She went to a gathering with her white friends and she came up deceased. The sheer amount of times that black people will not understand that when you're the token black person in the friend group, you can, and none of your white friends will say a goddamn thing. See, that's the problem. You think everybody with you, everybody don't like you. This illusion of inclusion is a westernized ideology that doesn't exist, because their concept of patriotism is really racism. You just had 400 white nationalists in DC marching on July the 4th. Some of those people are teachers, firefighters, police officers, judges, lawyers, people you work with. So with all that shit being said, my father said it best. Never be the only one. Never be the only one of your race. Never be the only one that doesn't have any money. Never be the only one that doesn't have a car. Because it's going to create this energy to where you start to seek validation, because you're trying to compensate for the lack thereof, because you ain't got shit. So you try to live vicariously through white people by getting on their boat. Get your own. That's how you save yourself. That's the first rule of nature, is self-preservation. Oh, when it comes to so-called black people, I'm not saying that all Europeans are like this. You got to have some type of social awareness to where you have the mental and spiritual fortitude to see what the fuck is going on around you, right? And rest in peace to Nolan Wells.
All right, y'all, that is the end of this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all in my next video. Mwah.